fellow Westside Improvement Club officers and board members. Welcome to this quick video where I do a brain dump of kind of how things are organized on the Google Drive, and just wanted to share kind of the original vision so that as you figure things out and find better ways to do things, you can adjust it and learn from where we've come from. So under the main folder for Westside Improvement Club, I've created 3 main folders, and I tried to break things up in a logical way where we could delegate access to things where people don't have more access to stuff than what they need to reduce as many problems as we can. So there's the officers, the committees, and the board. Board is the board members. The officers is everybody else that's not on the board that's elected, and then the committees are all of the board members, officers, and club members that are working on a committee. Now, officers should all have access to the officers folder. Everybody working on committees will have access within the specific folders within the committees, and the board members will have access to the board folder. So let's go into this and just kind of go over this real quick. There's a couple of documents for different projects that we were working on and notes that were being made. Under the process docs, this is where I tried to capture some of the process documentation. The big one here is the account access. We have a lot of online accounts and services that we're using now that we're trying to get that kind of stuff set up. So all of the officers should have access to this folder. So if anybody needs access to any of those accounts or services, that's how that is done right there. There's details on our hosting with GoDaddy. So if you've got questions there, there's a few details there. Now, as officers come and go, you're going to have to make sure that the sharing permissions are updated. So you can see that we've only got a few people here. This probably needs to be updated so more officers actually have access to this. And I'll be transferring ownership to somebody else. We go into the committees folder. Now, the idea here was that all the board members and the officers should have access to this committees folder. So they'll have access automatically to all these different folders and files. And members that join specific committees, they can be added to a specific committee folder that they're working on. The idea is to help facilitate what that committee is working on. So there's one place for all of that stuff to be, and they've got access to it. So it makes it really easy for them to collaborate. And then as people come and go on the committees, all that work and the documentation and the files stay there with the club, and it's not stuck on somebody's computer or somebody's binder. So yeah, for example, the membership committee, we've got the membership list here and a few ideas that came up that got documented. So that's kind of the basics. The big thing is managing access. So again, you right-click on the folder, share, and this is who has access to it, right? If you needed to remove or make owner, that's how you do that, okay? What you don't want to do is change that. All right. So that's how that works. Generally, we don't want to be sharing this stuff out with just anybody via links. If it needs to be shared, if you have a specific project or a document that needs to be shared with somebody outside of the committee or outside of the board and the officers, and it doesn't have sensitive information like username and passwords and all that kind of stuff, download a PDF copy of that, email it to them. They can have that information. But if people are going to be collaborating, they need access to that information, they should be added as somebody who has access to that folder or that specific document. And then in the board, this is where we've been keeping all of our agenda and meeting minutes. It's just, since we have board meetings and general membership meetings, I thought this was a good place to have it, since everybody on the board, everybody in all of the officers have access to this board folder. So just the officers have access to this folder. Officers and board members have access to this folder, and officers, board members, and committee members, well, officers and board members have access to the committees folder, and then committee members have access to these individual folders. So that's a quick overview of how we've kind of broken up those folders. Feel free to kind of adjust that and figure out how that works best, but coordinate how that works, and best of luck.